Holy man alive! You look at the front cover of this book and the back cover of this book, and it's an awful read. This was probably the worst week the Sens have had in, I don't know, a month or 5 weeks. The middle of the week was pretty good, but the beginning and the end were just a nightmare. And despite the fact they went just 1-3 this week, they got 2 more coaches fired, so there's that. Let's just get into it.
Well, that could have gone a lot worse.
Oh, thank you.
Tie the game, go to overtime, lose. Way to tie up the stick in front. Not.
Oh boy. And just like that, 6-5, the Sens win!
That was just bad. And here we go. They got their dub. Not anymore.
They got a guy with the best name in sports. A guy with the name Brady! The week got off to a pretty ugly start for the Sens, as they gave up 2 goals in the first 5 minutes to Calgary, fell behind 3-0 in the first period, 5-1 in the second period, and ended up losing the contest 6-3. So what did I like from this contest? Well, the Sens went 3 for 6 on the power play, so there's a lot to like there. If it wasn't for the Sens' power play in this contest, it wouldn't even have been close. Sure, the Sens' power play wasn't perfect, as they gave up 3 shots and a shorthanded goal, but they managed to generate 8 shots and 3 high-danger scoring chances. All 3 high-danger scoring chances ended up in the back of the net as well. So, I liked the power play from this game. And that brings me to what I didn't like. I didn't think the Sens generated enough 5-on-5, and that's what I didn't like. The Flames had more shots, more shot attempts, more scoring chances, and they outscored the Sens 4-0 at 5-on-5. Anytime you get outscored 4-0 at 5-on-5, or at any strength for that matter, you're going to lose. That happened in this one, as the Sens were just not nearly good enough at 5-on-5, and that's what I didn't like. After getting trounced by the Flames, the Sens come back 2 nights later and play arguably their best game of the season against Calgary. Despite a scoreless first period, the Sens stick with it, score 2 in the second, give 1 up, immediately get 1 back to take a 3-1 lead, dominate the third period, and completely close down the game and skate away with a 5-1 win. I'm a big believer in momentum in a hockey game. I believe it has a big effect on how a game goes. Often throughout a game, I'll point to a power play and say, you have to score here if you want to win, or you have to kill off this penalty if you want to win. Well, that brings me to what I liked from this game, and it was about momentum. Calgary scores a power play goal in the second period, cuts the Sens lead to 2-1, and has a chance to grab momentum and get back into this hockey game. A minute and 24 seconds later, Drake Batherson finds the back of the net, and any momentum Calgary thought they had was gone. I thought the Batherson goal was a massive turning point in the hockey game. The Sens easily could have let things snowball out of control from there, but Batherson gets the goal, the Sens immediately stomp out any Flames momentum and grab the momentum back themselves. That seemed to give them the exact momentum they needed, as they carried that into the third with a terrific final period and rolled to a win. This isn't necessarily a problem that I had just specifically with this game, but more a problem I've noticed game over game for the Sens this season, and that was the way Milan Lucic scored his goal. Lucic fires the puck at the net, Murray kicks it aside, Lucic gets his own rebound, skates in front, and tucks it in. Far too often this season, and frankly for the last number of seasons, it's been far too easy for opposing players in front of the Sens net, and far too easy for them to collect rebounds. Milan Lucic's goal is a perfect example of that, and that's what I didn't like. And speaking of not liking things, there was about a 5-minute stretch in the next contest between the Sens and Habs that I didn't like. The Canadians scored twice and used that to skate away with a 3-1 win. So what did I like from this contest? Despite not playing in almost 2 full years, Joey Daccord was really solid in this game, and that's what I liked. We'll touch more on Daccord later, so that brings me to what I didn't like. While I didn't like about a 5-minute stretch in the middle of the second period, but since we're going to discuss that later as well, what I didn't like from this contest was Ottawa's special teams. Sens gave up 2 power play goals on 3 opportunities, including back-to-back goals, on back-to-back power plays about 2 minutes apart in the second period that just completely changed the entire game. Even worse than the penalty kill, though, I thought was the power play. The Sens have a double minor late in the second period with a chance to completely change momentum of the game, take the game into the third, cut the lead to 1, and just start to make Montreal feel really bad about themselves. Instead, the Sens have one of the worst power plays they've seen in a really long time, and really just didn't do anything to help themselves. Power play, penalty kill were not nearly good enough, and that's what I didn't like. And speaking of not liking things, that brings me to the final game of the week, where there wasn't anything to like. The Flames score twice in less than 40 seconds, not even 3 minutes into the game, score 4 first period goals, and just destroy the Sens en route to a 7-3 win. So what did I like from this contest? Not much of anything. I thought Ryan Desingle looked well, but we'll touch more on that later. Aside from that, there really wasn't anything. To be honest, I tweeted in the middle of the first period that if anybody had to work the day after the game, they should probably go to bed and not waste their time. Well, I didn't work, so I stayed up to watch it, but I barely paid attention. By the time the second period started, the game was an absolute nightmare already, so I kind of kept it on and listened to it, but I didn't really watch it because the truth is there really wasn't anything to watch. Thought Ryan Desingle was pretty good. Aside from that, there really wasn't anything to like. So that brings me to what I didn't like. I think the biggest thing I didn't like from this game was not necessarily what happened in the game, but it's what's happening over the course of the season. I know this team is young, but the Sens are as inconsistent as any team I've ever cheered for, and that's what I didn't like. From game to game, period to period, shift to shift, you just never quite know what you're going to get from this team. Some nights they come out and fans of other teams are thinking, man, this team looks good. And then other nights they come out and fans of their own team are going, man, this team is worse than the expansion years. And maybe it's not quite that bad, but the consistency is so frustrating. Like, Ottawa looked so bad on Saturday and so bad on Thursday. Then looked unbelievable on Monday and really good on Tuesday. I'm so tired of that happening. And that is what I didn't like. And that brings me to the 3 stars of the week. I don't know if I've ever had a tougher time picking the 3 stars than I did this week. There was just nobody that really stood out. Most weeks, at least, you get a couple guys that are like, yeah, they were pretty good. This week, there wasn't much of anything. I think it's pretty telling how tough a time I had picking these 3 stars, knowing that 2 of the 3 stars this week combined to play just 3 out of 4 games. There really wasn't much to choose from. And so this week's 3rd star, despite playing just 1 game, is newly reacquired Ottawa Senators forward, Ryan Desingle. I thought Desingle showed pretty well on Thursday night against the Flames. His speed was good, he had a pretty good work ethic, and he scored a pretty nice goal. There's not much more you can ask for, especially on a night where pretty much nobody was going. For his first game, especially considering it was his first game in nearly a month, I thought Desingle was pretty good, and for that reason, he is star number 3. And while Ryan Desingle played just 1 time this week, star number 2 had just 1 full game this week and appeared in parts of 2 others. And star number 2 this week is Ottawa Senators goaltender Joey Daccord. Daccord made all 5 saves he faced in the first game of the week against Calgary, gave up 3 goals on 18 shots in the last game of the week against Calgary. Neither one of those games were really that much pressure because, quite frankly, Ottawa was getting hammered in both of them. But the 1 game he did play the full game and had lots of pressure, I thought he was excellent. At times during the Canadiens game, Daccord was really under pressure to make some big saves and keep the Sens in it. And quite frankly, I thought he did that. Sure, you could beg for a save on the Petrie goal that gave the Canadiens the lead, but it was a really nice shot. With Matt Murray struggling and Marcus Hogberg out, the Sens are going to need a backup goalie to give them something. I thought Daccord gave them something in this game, and was pretty decent in the other two games of the week despite the Sens being really bad. And so for that reason, Joey Decord is star number 2. And that brings me to star number 1. This guy had 3 goals and 5 points in 4 games, had a 6-game goal streak, and a 7-game point streak. This week's first star is Drake Batherson. Of all the choices to pick from this week, this was by far the easiest. I thought Batherson was pretty good in the first game of the week against Calgary, was even better in the second game of the week against Calgary. I thought his best game of the week came in the third game of the week against Montreal, despite the fact that his 6-game goal streak got snapped. And then the last game of the week, quite frankly, nobody was good. Batherson is starting to get more and more confidence, and you saw that at times this week, especially in that Montreal game. He may not have scored, but he was absolutely flying, creating his own chances, and really deserved a goal. Aside from the last game of the week, I thought Batherson was real good this week, and for that reason, he's star number 1. So a real quick recap: Ryan Desingle is star number 3, Joey Decord is star number 2, and Drake Batherson is star number 1. Remember I brought up a 5-minute stretch in that Montreal game is what I didn't like? Well, that brings me to this week's most disappointing player, who is Eric Goodbranson. Goodbranson gets lazy, doesn't hit the red line on a dump in, and gets called for icing. The puck goes back into the Sens zone after those guys have been stuck on the ice. On the ensuing faceoff, they immediately take a penalty, and the Canadiens go to the power play. On that power play, Brendan Gallagher out-muscles Eric Goodbranson in front, bangs the puck home. While he does that, Goodbranson high sticks him in the face, takes a 4-minute double minor penalty, gives the Canadiens another power play. They score on that power play, and in a 2.5-minute stretch, the Sens go from being tied 0-0 to down 2-0. Now granted, this wasn't all on Goodbranson, but I thought a large chunk of what happened was. He was the one that caused the icing, he was the one that took the second double minor, and as a result, he is this week's most disappointing player. And that brings me to the week ahead. The Sens play 4 times this week, all on the road, as they visit Calgary Sunday, Edmonton Monday, Edmonton Wednesday, and Edmonton again on Friday. And because the team is out west, please note the special start times: 9:30 Sunday, 9 on Monday, 8 on Wednesday, and 9 on Thursday. And to be honest, it's not looking like it's going to be a very good week for the Sens, as they play a Flames team they're currently 2-2 against so far this season, but if the Sens win, they're going to hammer them, and if they lose, they're going to get hammered. Don't expect a close and exciting game, because these teams haven't played them. And then the Sens get 3 against the Oilers, who have absolutely destroyed the Sens so far this season. Edmonton leads the season series 4-0, and they've outscored Ottawa 18-10 in those 4 games. Despite the lopsided scoreline, the last 2 games between the teams have actually been very close, with one ending by 1 goal, one ending by 2 thanks to an empty net goal, and arguably the Sens probably should have and could have won it at least one, if not both, of the last 2 games. The Oilers also come into the contest ice cold, having just got swept 3-0 against the Leafs and were outscored 12-1. So if the Sens can get out to an early lead and make the Oilers start to second guess themselves, they might stand a chance. If they let the Oilers get out front early, it's gonna be game over quickly. Honestly, I'm not feeling very good about this week, so I'm just gonna ask for 1 point. And before we go, a special shout out to Ottawa Senators' 3rd overall pick Tim Stützle, who is named this month's Rookie of the Month. Something tells me we're going to be seeing plenty more Player of the Week and Month awards for this guy. That'll do it for this video. Hit like if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share it with anybody you know, let me know down below what you thought of the Sens last week, and let me know what you expect from the Sens this week. And just before I go, I have a couple of real quick topics I'd like to touch on. First of all, Brian Fraser. Last week I recorded and had my video done before I heard about Brian's tragic death. Brian was a terrific advocate for blood donation, and he was an excellent Sens fan, and he's going to be missed. And of course, how could you forget about Walter Gretzky? I heard the news last night, and it was pretty sad. I mean, he's like Canada's hockey dad. He was Wayne Gretzky's dad. He was a terrific guy. And it's just sad to see. So rest easy, Brian, Walter, and prayers out to your families.